For now, let's start with the topic of the show. It's the Summer Game Fest breakdown. We're going to do our reviews of all of this using the Kinda Funny scale, which is 1 to 10. Greggy Miller.
Yeah.
I want to start with you. What do you think of this?
Well, as you know, we talk about exploring the scale. We talk about the fact that when we give a review score, I don't think we're locked in. I want to talk it out, obviously. Right now, I'm seeing a lot in the chat of angry people. Seeing comments saying, I'm not that angry. This did that and the other. And we just experienced 2 hours of it. As we always talk about, what adjective are you using? What did we feel? 2 hours. We're all hanging out and having fun. For me, on the Kinda Funny scale, right now, I feel that I'm a 6 out of 10. I think it was okay. I don't think to go below and say mediocre, I think doesn't fit the narrative of what I think I just got. I think it's very easy to get lost here with the lasting remnants of the really commercials we got there at the end, right? Like, I love Tim Robinson. So I think you should leave, right? That was a funny bit, and then I was like, they're not going to show. They're getting into and then it was just like, well, that as a Skate fan, that didn't deliver on what I want from Skate, saying they're going to be here, right? That chicken game with Ken Jeong and with Chris Hemsworth and Christina Ricci and stuff was like, what the fuck is this? It is funny, but then it is, what am I doing? And why am I, like, these are like the lasting things, but to scroll back through and talk about Lego Horizon, to talk about, Cuff Bust that caught us off guards, Neva looking so good, the fact that you then get into, of course, I pop so hard for the Blumhouse game stuff. Like, I think this is an okay showcase. I think it was actually Bless who said it when we were live early on of like, I wish Jeff had said, hey, this is more of an independent showcase than what he said of like, get your hopes wherever calibrated correctly, or, you know what I mean? Bring your hopes down. Like, there was a lot of cool things in here. I think, as always, the presentation could have been tightened up. I don't think it needed to be a full 2 hours. I think, obviously, there's a lot of commercials running to pay the bills in there and stuff. But overall, I think it's okay. I think there's a lot of stuff to like in here, and there's a lot of stuff not to like, and I enjoyed my time with you guys. But on the other side of all this, I wouldn't, if anybody was going to ask me, I was like, oh, you got to go watch this thing.
Andy Cortez.
I give it a 7 out of 10. Good. Had a good time. I think there was many different games showcased here that I'm super interested in. A lot of games that I didn't know existed that I'm like, oh, cool. I'm going to keep an eye on that. There wasn't a whole lot that was super disappointing with it. I think even the lower parts of it weren't, like, the lower parts of it were really, really long Valorant showcases. All that Valorant trailer lasted for about 10 minutes, it felt like, and it's still Valorant, so I'm like, whatever. The other low part was that little chicken mobile game, and it was still making me like legitimately laugh every once in a while because I thought there was some decent bits there.
I made this for you.
And it wasn't like a terrible time. I had a good time hanging out with you all, seeing a lot of cool games. And yeah, I think there's just like a lot to enjoy here and a lot to look forward to.
Throwback Mike.
Yeah, I'm actually going to go 4 out of 10 with a meh. I don't think it has anything to do with Jeff in the showcase itself. I think it's a beautiful layout. I think adding the new host was really, really great. The flow and pacing was just fine to me. It's just games there weren't the ones that spoke to me. And a lot of the games that might speak to me or might be on the fence didn't push me over the edge to go, oh, wow, I'm really excited, right? I think we saw a lot of indie titles there. On the side of me, there was not a single Xbox title there, which was very interesting, right? And so when I look down the list, when I'm walking away saying Killer Bean was my top 2 game that got me hyped and Valorant coming to console, it's just not what I'm looking for from a big summer showcase, and that's the tough one for me. There was some, smiles, right? Pal World getting a new update is fun. Battle Aces that Andy's mad about. I'm always interested in a new RTS. I think that looked fun. My biggest miss was Skate. I'm really disappointed in Skate. I know you guys had the conversation during the pre-show, but as a kid who loves Skate, I was looking for something more. And this game continues to show that, like, we're very early on in this. I was expecting, hey, we might not be ready, but we're going to give you a nice little, maybe semi-deep dive of the actual world of San Vansterdam, right? We were going to show you some of the brands we're working with so you can see the cool Vans and Adidas and all the Nike skateboarding stuff. You were possibly going to be introduced to a new Coach Frank. Like, I was expecting more from Skate if we're going to show up at a summer showcase. A lot of this did feel like, hey, an ad is being run right now. Nothing felt like a cool world premiere trailer that stood out to me. And so, yeah, I'm just a little bit on the downside, mainly because they're games that don't speak to me.
This episode of Kinda Funny is brought to you by Punkle, the developers behind Vampire Survivors. Did you know that Vampire Survivors is out on just about everything? That's right, you can play it this very second on PC, Xbox, Switch, and mobile. And if that wasn't enough, it's coming to PlayStation this summer with a Platinum Trophy, and I just so happen to be stoked. Why? Because it's awesome. Vampire Survivors is a gothic horror casual game with roguelike elements where your choices can allow you to quickly snowball against the hundreds of monsters that get thrown at you. Mow down thousands of night creatures and survive until dawn. Pick your character, spend your gold on power-ups, and get to being the bullet hell in the game that features absolutely zero vampires. Punkle even just released the new DLC Operation Guns featuring the classic and timeless Konami IP, Contra. We've been talking about this game for years, so there's no reason not to support it now. It's as affordable as a cup of coffee. Get Vampire Survivors on your platform of choice this very second, and thank Punkle for sponsoring Kinda Funny.
Bless.
Yeah, I'd probably give it a 6. I think for me, I had a good time. It wasn't the most exciting Summer Game Fest, but I think he took in a lot of feedback that he's gotten over the last year, starting off with addressing the industry, addressing the layoffs, talking about how we're in an industry that is in a really rough spot right now when you're talking about studio closures, when you're talking about layoffs, all that stuff. But then also leading off with saying, hey, the saving grace here are the independent developers that are coming through, making incredible original work. Going back to what Greg was talking about, right? Like, I think Jeff, before this, trying to set expectations as far as talking about how this is a slower year for video games, I think that there is a confidence he could have stepped out with going, hey, we are leading off with original experiences. We got indies. We got cool new games that we want to show you guys. I wish that was more of the leading foot. I know that's not exciting for the mainstream audience of gamers, but I think Jeff has a platform that can be used to put people on to these kind of games, and he's doing it, right? And I think you should double down on the excitement for that. With that, right, for me, the most exciting things from here, I'm with Greg, Blumhouse is up there. I think that montage of games looked incredible. Same with the Outer Loop stuff. I think that announcement was fucking awesome. And I think this is a really good example of how you can frame an indie montage and go, hey, here's a bunch of games that usually when we package this stuff, it is, all right, a bunch of different gameplay trailers with maybe a caption underneath that tells you what the game is, to go, hey, we're going to frame this. Here's Outer Loop talking about all their games, and here's Blumhouse talking about all their games, and give context to it. I think that was a beautiful way to do it. I think, again, like going back to this is a less exciting Summer Game Fest. I do think he brought it with some of the bigger ones, right? Like Civ 7 isn't necessarily for us. It is for Stu Mike, right?
Yeah.
But I don't think the audience pops off for Civ 7, but there is an audience there that is huge for this game that is excited about this stuff, right? But it is not like a Mafia, it's not a Borderlands, but I don't think it has to be. I think Civ 7 still fits the bill. Oh, one thing I want to shout out to you, having Curious Joy as a host, I think was fucking awesome. That's another one of those criticisms that we have with Jeff, where it is, man, we wish we can either get more women on stage, wish we can get more representation on stage. I think that's sort of a flaw when it is Jeff hosting every single one of his events. It feels like, oh man, this is such a big platform. Wish we got more people in here. I think using Curious Joy, especially for her with her fighting game connections, using her as a tool for that, I think is really great. And yeah, like I thought, I think there were a lot of games here that might not have been for us, but overall, I didn't have a bad time. I thought it was fine.
Yeah, very in line with you guys. I'm going 6-5 on this because everything Bless just said, I totally agree with, in the sense that the criticism was clearly listened to, and I feel like that was from the beginning of the show to the end of the show. Like, there's a lot of really good progress for what Summer Game Fest and Game Awards and all that stuff can be, and I do think that the focus on both the Blumhouse and the Outer Slot stuff, what great ideas and what great new concepts and ways to show these games, and also like support indie games and really kind of redefine what video games are and how we talk about these things. I feel that there was a lot of great stuff shown here. I think that there was a couple like pretty major misses when it comes to some of the bigger stuff we expected. I thought Skate was a very poor showing, and I wish they just didn't have it here because we shouldn't see that game until it's more ready to be talked about. Like seeing, it's pre-alpha. It's like, yeah, we know. You know what I mean?
It's
like,
been there. It's been going.
The
Yeah,
Tim
people are
Robinson stuff,
playing
I
it.
love it. It's great. Like they made it fun, but in terms of like the news and the announcements, I feel like that was kind of lacking a bit. I feel like we retreaded on a couple things in ways that I wasn't the biggest fan of, but Lego Horizons looks way different than I expected. Getting that type of announcement here, I think, is a big win. It shows the value of Summer Game Fest, putting that next to a bunch of these indie games, but then also something like Monster Hunter Wilds. Like, there's a good show here. Like, they got the content. Yes, it was long, and yes, a lot of it felt like ads, and it was very clear that these are ads and all of that, but I wasn't bored at any point. Some like the Riot stuff definitely lasted way too long, but it came with amazing news. Valorant coming to consoles, that's big. That was a genuine surprise. Like, Andy was sure it was mobile, but no, it's console. Like, that I think is great. And yeah, the amount of smaller titles that I'm like, holy crap, like I can't wait for Neva. That looks so damn good.
Unbelievable.
And Killer Bean was hilarious. It's like so many games that I would have never necessarily like sought out myself, but being presented, I'm like, oh, I'm wishlisting these. You know what I mean? I'm 100%. Here for it now. And then there was one, Power Rangers. What a super fun. Didn't see that coming. Here's a new game that I'm going to be playing the hell out of. So yeah, a lot of, I'd say more wins than not in this. Like, I feel like while it might not have been the best thing or great, and like 7 is what we have as good, like I don't know that I can stand by this is good, but I think it's a great step in the right direction towards that. And I feel like this proves that when the content's there, the show is there to support it. So I think the content will be there some years and it won't be there others. And the content, I think they've proven now, doesn't need to just be AAA, doesn't need to just be indie. It can be everything in between. So think that stuff's really, really cool. Do think ending on
Phantom Blade Zero.
Phantom Blade Zero was a weird choice. I think the game looks awesome, but for what Summer Game Fest is, opening with Lego Horizon, I kind of feel like that spot needs to be a bit more like impactful.
What would you have put there? Seeing the slate of games, what would you have
seeing
put
the stuff
there?
that's here? I don't know. It gets tough.
My thought would be, I think Monster Hunter was another demo that didn't like, it looks good, great. I can't wait to play it, but it didn't show me something brand new where I was like, what? I personally think if I was sitting here, you know, building the card, I'd probably go with Alan Wake.
Me too. That's the move, right?
That was a really cool trailer, and it looked really great. It's
stuff.
out now.
It's coming tomorrow.
Maybe not have Sam say that, put it in the trailer, because I mean, we popped when we saw Jesse again, when we saw fucking Jimmy Olsen, when we saw, you know, the waitress.
Yeah,